Science and God cannot be separated, because science is only the dissection of God's creation. Scientific theories like quantum theory support the idea that consciousness has existed before the physical manifestation of matter in the universe. This coincides with the Christian belief that God existed before all things and he spoke them into existence. Science also supports the idea that there are dimensions beyond what we as humans can experience or comprehend in our physical forms. The Christian concept of this describes heavenly places and the spiritual realm. While we are experiencing our physical layer of life, there is a spiritual layer that is happening simultaneously, and we have access to that layer through prayer. Let's talk about dimensions for a moment. One dimension allows a single point to travel along a line, but there is no width or depth. Two dimensions is like having a drawing on a piece of paper. The plane allows for length and width, but there is no depth. Think of our three-dimensional realm as a box. Inside that box, we can operate through length, width, and depth. Theoretically, we consider a fourth dimension to be space-time, which we experience along with our other three physical dimensions. Every law of physics that our universe uses to operate was established by God, and He is not bound by them. I think of it as a programmer who writes code and lets a simulation run on a set of parameters and variables, but the programmer maintains the ability to edit and alter the outcome while maintaining the integrity of the program. When we experience time, we experience it on a timeline from point A to point B, but God exists beyond the constraints of that timeline. Time is just another dimensional layer in our level of existence. For God, there is no beginning nor end. This has many implications, a major one being that God has foreknowledge of all things. God knows all possibilities, outcomes, and our choices that we will make. That does not mean that God explicitly scripted everything that happens to us. He did not author the original sin that caused the fall of man, for example. God does not create evil, yet He has granted us the capacity to make meaningful decisions that can be either good or evil. And even though we have free will, that does not infringe on God's sovereignty to be in control. There is a coexistence of the two, which we may not be able to understand from our perspective, but God understands. When we say that the victory against Satan has already been won, I believe that it literally has already happened from God's top-down view of our timeline. And yet, we are still in the middle of a linear stream through time, experiencing those things as they unfold. What I have presented to you is a theory that I believe based on my study of Scripture, but all I know for certain is that we cannot put God in a box, nor underestimate His infinite nature. Thank you, and may God bless you on your search for truth.